corner the room forgot, staring through the ice as it drowns in amber. Cigarette ember, a red eye half awake, smoke drawing lazy question marks into the tired light. Time drips off the ceiling, fan blades falls into the hollow of her glance. A laugh breaks way down the bar, dies before it reaches her orbit. She is here and never was, lipstick ghost in the glass, every color drained to gray as the minutes leaning past. She is here and never was, waiting out a nameless past. In the hush between the clinks, where the lonely seconds last, her dress remembers hands that never learned to stay. The mirror behind the bottle stacks her into endless copies, each one older by a blink. Her eyes keep a secret ledger, names in invisible ink, old and overpaid. Under the table, her ankle grazes steel, small and different weight, a promise she can't return. She is here and never was, lipstick ghost in the glass, every color drained to gray as the minutes leaning past. She is here and never was, waiting out a nameless past. In the hush between the clicks, where the lonely seconds last. Outside, the night presses its face against the window, fogged with other people's breath inside her chest. A metronome of missing things ticks softer, softer, then loud again. Cigarette smoke curls into slow motion halos, crowns for saints that never made it home. She is here and never was, scraped away and the final seconds Smoke curls like half-remembered names, drifting over peeling paint and a leaning frame. Shadows lean back, stretching across the road. Everything slowed, perdida fiel. Faces fade in folded corners. Every second feels too strong. Ashen after image, world reduced to doesn't answer. Only silent embers alone. Blink once, the doorway disappears. Only outlies of forgotten years. Your hand, a silhouette on glass. Time forced away is watching itself pass. Ashen after image, nothing stays. She counts the cracks in the bar top varnish, like years she never meant to live through. Cigarette smoke curling up slow, a tired ghost learning new shapes in the yellow light. Her heel keeps time with nothing, just a quiet tap on a floor that is heard too much. Time moves like thick liquor, it clings to the sides and refuses to fall. Lipstick on the glass, a red fingerprint on everything she can call back. Alone is an echo, wearing her perfume, here where the clock hands drag. She lets the minutes bruise her blue. The bartender wipes the same spot again, like he's erasing their names. Her reflection fractured in a row of bottles, 100 versions of her, all tied, all pretending. Hidden weight at her hip, cold, patient, a small dark promise pressing through silk. Time moves like thick liquor, it clings to the sides and refuses to fall. Lipstick on the glass, a red fingerprint on everything she can call back. Alone is an echo, wearing her perfume, here where the clock hands drag. She lets the minutes bruise her blue. Outside, siren to fog. Inside, ice cracks and some strangers drink. She watches it melt, envies its surrender. Her pulse, a late train arriving to an empty platform. Oh, time moves like thick liquor, it clings to the sides and refuses to fall. Lipstick on the glass, a red fingerprint on everything she can call back. Alone is an echo, wearing her perfume, here where the clock hands drag. She lets the minutes bruise her blue. She leaves the gun in its quiet shadow, leaves the smoke hanging in her shape. Only the glass remains, lipstick cooling as the night forgets her slowly. She sits where the mirror doesn't quite tell the truth. Cigarette, a slow comet ash orbiting her knuckles. Smoke curls upward, tries to remember which way was out. The clock over bottles doesn't tick, it sighs between seconds. This is the ashtray hour, where every breath burns unstraps lips like a secret changing its mind. On the napkin a name half written, half erased. Ice melts into a quiet confession no one asked for. This is the ashtray hour, where every breath burns a little memory you can't afford. This is the ashtray hour, lipstick on the rim, time swirling in the glass, going nowhere, nowhere. Under her palm, metal small, certain, a hidden answer to questions the room forgot to ask. She strokes it once, like a stray thought, shoot away outside. A siren drags its tail along the night. Inside only the hum of tired bulbs and old perfume. This is the ashtray hour, where every breath burns a little memory you can't afford. This is the ashtray hour, lipstick on the rim, time swirling in the glass, going nowhere, nowhere. She waits for nothing in particular, counts the spaces between someone coming in and no one leaving. Her reflection blurs in a halo of cheap light. She lifts the glass and the stain kisses back like a stranger. This is the ashtray hour, where every breath burns a little memory you can't afford. This is the ashtray hour, lipstick on the rim, time swirling in the glass, going nowhere, nowhere. Smoke untangles into darkness. The gun goes on dreaming under her hand. Time finishes her drink for her. She counts the bottles, not the hours, finger tracing rings where other wrists once waited. Cigarette ash falls in slow confession, smoke curling out to bless the broken ceiling. A jukebox size in colors she can't name, ice size too, shrinking from her tongue. Somewhere a clock forgets to tick. She borrows that silence for a while. She is the pause between seconds, a held breath, caught in the low lit glass. lipstick, smoke and time, all the same shade, fading at the edges. She is the break in the record, that soft skip. No one ever fixes. Lipstick, smoke and time, and the long slow, falling through her own reflection. One heel dangles like a question mark, dark leather swings over a floor of old confessions. The bartender polishes the same clean glass, listening to her quiet like its last call. Her drink wears a crooked red mouth, lipstick stained like a promise she declined. Inside her purse, something heavy, warm from waiting, breathes against her palm. She is the pause between seconds, a hairbreadth, thought in a low-lit glass. Lipstick, smoke and time, all the same shade, fading at the edges. She is the break in the record, that soft skip. No one ever fixes. Lipstick, smoke and time, in a long slow, falling through her own reflection. Outside, night gleams on the window, a stray neon letter burns and then forgets her name. Inside, she edits herself, one memory, one mercy at a time. The hidden way by her ribs outlaws every future, yet she sits like any other stranger. She is the pause between seconds, a hairbreadth, caught in the lowly glass. Lipstick, smoke and time, all the same shade, fading at the edges. She's the break in the record, that soft skip. No one ever fixes. Lipstick, smoke and time, and the long slow, falling through her own reflection. She crushes the cigarette, slow as a sunset, smoke lifting off her shoulders like a rumor leaving town. The glass keeps its crimson, the room keeps its dim. She rises and sits as the night moves past her. Only the gun remembers to be certain. Only the clock remembers to be kind. She counts the cracks in the mirror behind the bottles, like years, like lovers. Cigarette smoke curling in a weak yellow hush, writing soft hieroglyphs on the air between heartbeats. Verdiers drinks the shadows one slow sip at a time. Years hoped on a stool round, like she might run, but never does. From the crooked clock above the bar, drop by, drop into her glass. Lipstick stain, a small at the empty chair next to her, like it told a good joke 10 years ago, and the echo never left a hidden weight pressed flat against her ribs, cold in her bag. Still sleeps, dreaming in monochrome, waiting for a name to wake it. The bartender polishes the same clean glass for the 5th time. I sliding past her like rain down a window that never opens. Outside, sirens fade into fog. Inside, only the click of distant conversation. A crooked clock above the bar, drop by. the corner to songs that forgot how to end, and just is all she thinks. If someone said my name softly enough, I might remember who wore the skin before me. She thinks if I never stand up, the night stays unfinished, and the story never has to choose between mercy and blame. Her reflection, fractured into bottle labels, multiplies alone in every fragment. 100 pairs of eyes all looking away. Time leaves from the cookie plot, the bugs above drop by, drop into her glass. Lipstick stain, a small red moon on clear ice, orbiting nothing. She weaves her shadow on the bar stool, pays in silence and slow perfume, walking out like a She waits in the corner, red velvet booth, back to the mirror, eyes on the door, cigarette ember, a small stubborn sun, ash tapped in time in uneven seconds. Smoke curls upward, searching for exits, writing soft hieroglyphs in stale yellow light. Her coat on the chair back, heavy at the hem, one secret weight, pulling the fabric down. She is alone, alone again, counted by the drip behind the bar. She is a storm in a velvet dress, quiet until she isn't. Lipstick on the rim of the glass, a crescent moon fading slow. Time moves sideways in this room and nowhere else at all. forgotten how to speak. Hands circle the same regret, too tired to arrive. Ice melts in her drink, diluting the promise. A slow surrender to room temperature truth. In her purse, something cold, pressed against leather and powder. A small dark answer to questions no one asks out loud. The bartender laughs at someone else's story. His teeth flash, then dim. Her name never appears. She is alone, alone again, measured by the sweat on the glass. She is a storm in a velvet dress, quiet until she isn't. Lipstick on the rim of the glass, a wilted bloom on crystal. Time moves sideways in this room and will not cross the street. Outside, traffic changes colors, red to green to nothing. Rain gathers on the window, then forgets to fall. Inside, the air thickens, layer upon layer of other people's nights. She wears them like perfume. Her shadow on the wall arrives a second late, a ghost in training, learning her hesitation. She is alone, alone again, numbered by the smoke in her lungs. She is a storm in a velvet dress, quiet until she isn't. Lipstick on the rim of the glass, a crooked halo fading. Time moves sideways in this room, and she lets it pass through her. The cigarette stutters, then dies in its sleep. She orders nothing for a very long time. Under the table, her hand finds the hidden weight and leaves it there just a little longer. She leans into the tired red vinyl, like it might remember her name, like anything might. Cigarette ash trembles on the edge of the hour, glows then falls. The clock above the bottles moves in inches, not in seconds. Dust in slow parade, her face in the back bar mirror, cut into pieces by bottles, eyes in one pane, mouth in another. This is the ashtray hour, where nothing ends, it only fades. Lipstick goes on a sweating glass, drink going warm, going nowhere. She waits for nothing in particular, for the room to forget she's there. Time drips thick like old perfume. In the ashtray hour, she disappears. Smoke curls upward, learning to write her name, failing, erasing itself midair. The bartender talks to the humming fridge, turns his ring, turns his back. In her purse something heavy rests against a compact, cold against cracked powder. She traces the zipper teeth, one by one, like counting rosary beads for a fate she misplaced. This is the ashtray hour, where nothing ends, it only fades. Lipstick ghosts on a sweating glass, drink going warm, going nowhere. She waits for nothing in particular, for the room to forget she's there. Time drips thick like old perfume. In the ashtray hour, she disappears. Outside, rain takes its time, choosing which window to follow down. Inside she stacks small silences between her breaths, builds a little wall. Names blur on a napkin, ink bleeding into paper fibers, letters drowning before they learn to speak. Her pulse and the neon hum argue quietly about who will tire first. She lifts the glass, finds her mouth printed there, a red half moon already fading at the rim. She presses her thumb over the stain, smears it into something shapeless. Somewhere a song ends, but the room keeps swaying like a body that hasn't heard the news. She stands almost, then sits again, as if the air had taken her by the wrist. This is the ashtray hour, where nothing ends, it only fades. Lipstick ghosts on a sweating glass, drink going warm, going nowhere. She waits for nothing in particular, for the room to forget she's there. Time drips thick like old perfume. In the ashtray hour, she disappears. Last drag, paper burns bitter. Smoke writes one final question, then folds itself into the dark. She closes the purse, metal teeth meeting soft, the hidden weight, quiet as a hell breath. The clock coughs forward by one reluctant minute, and the bar stool remembers her warmth, then forgets. Then forgets. She sits backlit by a broken beer sign, Cigarette smoke curling upward like someone else's prayers. Time drips off the bent brass clock behind her, thick as syrup, slow as doubt. Her elbow rings the rim of a glass she stopped drinking from. Lipstick stain, a wounded moon and cheek crystal. She blinks once, twice, lets the room stagger past in soft underwater colors. She is the pause between heartbeats, the breath held too long in the dark. Red mouth, quiet hand, silver trigger, gun beneath the velvet of her heart. She is the pause that never answers, the name you forget to call. Lonely like a locked up perfume spilling through an empty hole. Ice has melted to memory, thin ghosts of cubes floating in their own forgetting. She stirs them out of habit, not intent. Voices behind her blur into one long, tired confession. Same story, different faces, wearing the same thirst. A match flares, brief cathedral of light, then vanishes, leaving only ember, only echo. She studies the door like an old photograph. No one she expects, everyone she deserves. She is the pause between heartbeats, the breath held too long in the dark. Red mouth, quiet hand, silver trigger, gun beneath the velvet of her heart. She is the time that never hurries, the rain that refuses to fall. Lonely like a song unstarted, caught inside a throat of smoke-stained walls. Under the table, her fingers rest on cool metal. A small, deliberate future pressed flat against her palm. Outside, the night forgets to move on. Street lamps breathing in and out like a patient in another room. Inside, she counts the seconds in reverse, tasting rust and sugar on the rim of someone else's promise. She is the pause between heartbeats, the breath held too long in the dark. Red mouth, quiet hand, silver trigger, gun beneath the velvet of her heart. She is the hour just before closing, when every lie sounds true. Lonely like the last glass waiting for a hand that never moves. Cigarette burns down to a final fragile circle, ash collapsing like a quiet agreement. She leaves the glass, lipstick planet tilted on its axis, time still dripping from the bent brass clock. Door sighs open, swallows her shadow whole. Only the smoke remains, trying to remember her name. She folds into the bar stool like she's been here for a century of closing times and half-forgotten names. Her shadow spills over a cracked leather cushion, pooling in the place no one dares to sit. Cigarette smoke curls in the tired light, slow, patient, like it's reading her thoughts before they're formed. Ash trembling but never quite falling. The clock over the bottles breathes instead of ticking. Each second another layer of dust on a story she refuses to remember too clearly. She is the pause between the last call and the lock on the door. She is the lipstick ghost in the glass, red smear like a wound that doesn't bleed anymore. She is the rumor in her own reflection, alone among the slow turning hands of the room. The glass in front of her swears it knew better days. Amber river gone still, capturing a crooked neon halo, then letting it die in a single blink of melted ice. Lipstick leans against the rim, a single crescent of past intentions pressed there gently as if she kissed a stranger's shoulder and thought better of it somewhere under the silk of her sleeve. Metal weights, cool and patient, a quiet constellation of choices compressed into a trigger's breath. It rests against her wrist like an old promise she might keep or might forget. She is the pause between the last call and the lock on the door. She is the lipstick ghost in the glass, red smear like a wound that doesn't bleed anymore. She is the rumor in her own reflection, alone among the slow turning hands of the room. Outside, night leans on the window, ear pressed to the fog of pain, listening for the moment she decides to stay. Inside, the bartender wipes the same clean circle over and over, erasing nothing, resetting nothing, just tracing the orbit of her silence. Time does strange things around a woman like this. It slows, then slips, then stops for a drink and never leaves. She is the pause between the last call and the lock on the door. She is the lipstick ghost in the glass, red smear like a wound that doesn't bleed anymore. She is the rumor in her own reflection, alone among the slow turning hands of the room. The cigarette burns down to a final small universe of orange, then memory. Smoke hangs a soft curtain between her and the world. touches the gun just once, as if checking that gravity still works, then lets her hand fall back to the lonely stem of the glass. Somewhere the clock remembers how to tick again, but here in this corner time just sits beside her. Orders nothing, says nothing, and stays. She sits at the far end where the light forgets to reach, where names go missing from their faces. Cigarette smoke curls like tired handwriting over her shoulder, tracing things she never said to anyone twice. Ice taps glass, a slow reluctant heartbeat. Her lipstick left behind on the rim, like a promise she never made. She is time in a red dress, staring down the empty hours, watching seconds drown in amber, one small tide at a time. She is time in a red dress, waiting for the clock to look away, for the night to blink so she can vanish between moments. The mirror behind the bottles holds her in pieces, her eyes in one fragment, her mouth in another, as if even her reflection keeps a safe distance. Voices blur into a single low murmur, a hive of almost choices, stories half finished, drifting past her bare wrist. Under silk there is cold metal, quiet as a kept secret, heavy as a future she has rehearsed on sleepless nights. She is time in a red dress, staring down the empty hours, watching seconds drown in amber, one small tide at a time. She is time in a red dress, waiting for the clock to look away, for the night to blink so she can vanish between moments. Outside, rain rearranges the street, drop by drop, as if the sky forgot how to hold itself together. Inside, the jukebox croons about somebody else's regret, and she counts the dust on the lampshade instead of the years. Her fingers trace the stem of the glass, slow circles, like drawing a door she staring down the empty hours, watching seconds drown in amber. One small tide at a time, she is time in a red dress, waiting for the clock to look away, for the night to blink so she can vanish between moments. Last drag, ember trembling, a firefly with nowhere to go. She leaves the lipstick stain as proof she was imagined, adjusts the weight beneath the garter, then sits a little straighter, breath held while another minute slowly forgets her name. She sits in the pause between clinking ice and the tired laugh 2 stools down. Cigarette smoke curls upward like a question no one here remembers asking. The clock above the bottles blinks its red eyelids, forgets how to count. Lipstick bleeding on the rim of her glass, a soft red echo of a mouth that used to answer. Time drips slow as the last drop, refusing to fall. She waits for nothing in particular, and everything at once fading into the low blue hum of people pretending to be people. Alone in a crowded room that keeps changing faces, never names. Her dress holds the creases of older evenings, creases of hands that never quite stayed. A sliver of chrome rests snug against her thigh, silent as a secret thought. She traces the condensation down the glass, a tiny river going nowhere in particular. In the mirrored back wall, 10 versions of her stare through one another like ghosts waiting their turn. Time drips slow as the last drop, refusing to fall. She waits for nothing in particular, and everything at once fading into the low blue hum of people pretending to be people. Alone in a crowded room that keeps changing faces, never names. Outside, night folds its arms, leans on the window, listens in. Inside, her pulse keeps its own calendar, counting losses instead of years. The hidden metal warms to her skin, like an old idea she hopes she never uses. Someone asks you here with anyone, and the question dies halfway to her table. Time drips slow as the last drop, refusing to fall. She waits for nothing in particular, and everything at once fading into the low blue hum of people pretending to be people. Alone in a crowded room that keeps changing faces, never